Serious, what medical myth do people still believe? People always want to pee on you when you get stung by a jellyfish. It does not help. Keep your meaty brick in your pants and get me some vinegar to pour on it instead.
Pee on the jellyfish. And pee harder on that like button. And why not subscribe?
Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis.
A guy actually tested this? For over 60 years Donald L. Unger cracked only his left hand to prove that cracking knuckles does not cause arthritis.
You cannot suck the venom out of yourself from a snake bite. Idquine movies show this.
At least it is harmless. I took a poisonous bite. And stings class, and without exception, the most gruesome results came from inappropriate use of tourniquets. As for getting out the poison, our instructor once got bitten on the thumb by a rattlesnake. Just one fang got him. And he instinctively grabbed his thumb and squeezed. He got one drop of amber fluid out of the wound. That's pretty much the best case scenario, and a bite anywhere else wouldn't do that. Those snakebite suction kits are worthless at best. And maybe dangerous if you use them wrong.
All strokes, heart attacks start with the same symptoms for all people. Especially when symptoms are ignored because they do not fit what we've seen on TV, movies.
I had a heart attack at 35. I am a woman. I literally sat on the sofa for 10-15 minutes working out how on earth I had pulled a muscle in my shoulder. As the pain spread and changed, I then thought about if I was having some sort of panic attack. I have anxiety, so wouldn't be unreasonable. It was 2 a.m. By the time I woke my husband to tell him I was calling the ambulance, my whole arm was numb and cold and I couldn't breathe properly. It just did not occur to me that I could be having a heart attack. It did not appear like any heart attack I'd ever heard of.
A fan in a closed room can kill you. Ada, N. M. Wikipedia. Org, Wiki, fan death.
Interesting, I had never heard of this one. Essential oils. E.g. argan oil can heal rectal lupus.
They make great perfumes though. My grandma heavily believes that smearing butter on burns will help it out. If you are curious. No. It's not helpful. You are just making your already sensitive tissue more tasty to the bacterias that will probably try to infect your burn. I am 5 pictures of infected burns away from making she see how bad of an idea it is.
One of my coworkers put mustard on a burn and ended up infected. She claimed it worked before. Maybe she didn't use the one with preservatives and poop.
Leaning your head back when you have a nosebleed. You do this if you enjoy blood running down your throat. What you need to do is to lean forward and pinch your nostrils shut and start breathing from your mouth. Give it 5 to 10 minutes and the bleeding usually stops then. Also, not all nosebleeds are caused by dry air. They can be caused by an enlarged blood vessel which cauterization would fix, or they could be a symptom of a more serious condition.
Putting a steak on a black eye helps it heal. Do not do this. It could cause a bacterial infection. Back in the day, ice was very expensive, so they wouldn't put ice on the black eye, but instead reach in the cooler and grab the steak because the steak was less expensive than the ice.
The bag of frozen peas does still make a good ice pack though.
That you can lose weight from a specific part of your body.
But what if you cut off a leg or two?
That rhino horns and elephant tusks have medicinal values. It doesn't. They're made from the same stuff fingernails are made from, and they do crackle.
I agree with the sentiment, but elephant tusks aren't made from keratin. They're teeth.
Standing too close to the microwave gives you cancer. Edit, wow, I cannot believe this is my most popular comment, thanks.
I have a slight fear of the microwave door exploding off, so I tend to stand off to the side anyway. I have no idea where this fear came from, but I figure better safe than sorry. Edit, wow, this blew up. Ha. Glad to know I am not the only person that has this irrational fear.
My aunt thinks that lemon makes you invincible for silly thing.
I lived with my grandpa for 5 months. During that time, I had increased allergies due to dust, and the lack of humidity caused nosebleeds. My grandpa insisted that I eat oranges, at least one a day, and that the oranges would cure my allergies and nosebleeds. They didn't.
That deoxygenated blood is blue. It's actually a darker red than oxygenated blood.
Actually had this argument with my sister-in-law who is an actual nurse in a hospital. I'll never go to that hospital.
Chewing gum and swallowing it will end up stuck in your stomach for 7 years.
It'd be 65% gum right now if that were true, lol.
I work in hospice. And the myth that we just overdose people on morphine specifically to kill them is wildly pervasive, given how untrue it is.
I don't want it to be untrue. I want doctors in a hospice when I am dying in pain to overdose me on morphine. Lying in pain as your mind wanders away to escape it doesn't seem the best way to go tbh.
Being thin is the same as being in shape.
My stepdad was as thin as a beanpole, and from all outside appearances seemed healthy. In fact, his diet was poop and he rarely exercised. He died 2 years ago at the age of 37, as the result of a heart attack. He had coronary artery disease that wasn't discovered because no one thought to look for it. Still hurts.
Humans only use 10% of their brains.
I've never understood this one. Why would we have a large brain in our head if we only used a small fraction of it?
That doctors do not work as hard to save organ donors.
Why have one saved person and one person at risk when I can have one dead person, one saved person and some extra work?
There's the myth in some Asian cultures that you can die if you leave a fan on, blowing on you, when you go to sleep. This Japanese girl I used to work with was convinced that it was good for you to lose a bit of blood. They're telling me this when I came back from donating blood one day. When I expressed skepticism, she claimed that it is the reason why women live longer than men. Because their periods get rid of their old blood.
It's shocking that people still believe in bloodletting.
Women have more ribs than men. Cause you know. Adam and Eve.
Fun fact. It has been debated that the rib in the story of Adam and Eve could actually be a mistranslation of a Hebrew euphemism for baculum, penile bone, and that its removal from Adam is a story to explain this absence in humans, as well as to explain the presence of the perineal raphe as a resulting scar.
That autistic persons are actually misunderstood genius people with 200 IQ. Stop saying that, it is not true and cause a lot of harm.
Rainman started that crap.
MSG bad.
MSG delicious. That doctors just immediately pull out the paddles if your heart stops without doing any chest compressions, resuscitation.
That doctors will pull out the paddles. At all. If the heart stops. The paddles. Job is to stop the heart, not to start it back up. No sane doctor would use them on a heart that's already stopped. Vaccines cause autism. Natural, means safer, better.
Nature wants 3 of your 5 kids dead within the first year, and it wants you dead before reaching 40. Everything else is brought to you by science and technology. I wish more people realized this fact.
That a woman having sex with multiple guys will make her genitals loose. Dumbest poop ever.
I mean, they squeeze babies out of those things. Do you really think your meaty brick is gonna do anything? And they do not just stay stretched out. They're muscle, not a sweater.
Sugar causes hyperactivity in kids. As far as I know, all studies have failed to show a correlation between sugar intake and hyperactivity.
I think I read that people make this correlation because kids run out of serotonin after having fun and then have tantrums. You're at a carnival, having a blast, going on rides, eating candy. Then you're really upset when you have to go home. Because you were out of serotonin. It wasn't the candy.
That people with mental illness cannot have a genuine physical ailment. Do people seriously believe that? WTF.
8 glasses of water per day.
How much are we supposed to drink?
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Take antibiotics for viral infections. These two drive me crazy.
There's mixed opinions about that. But most scientists agree that you should eat when you're, get this, hungry.
That black people experience less physical pain than white people. It's positively false, and yet a shocking number of med students believe it is true. Worse yet, this impacts treatment, leading to worse patient outcomes. https://www.nas.org. Content 113, 16, 4296. Edit: I am not a healthcare provider for the record. But since a number of people have brought it up, yes, it does seem that people who are redeeds also tend to have unique pain responses and require more anesthesia. https://www.usahealth.org. Blog 2018-04. Redeeds pain. But I want to emphasize that just because this might be inherited and might be true for one group of people, which BTW the U does not recognize as a racial group, does not imply we would also expect differences between your average white and black person, or any other pair of races. I am not sure if that's the conclusion people are leaning toward, but just want to clarify that.
Never heard this one before. And people actually believe this. Wow.
That carrots make your eyesight better. They just did not want anyone to find out about radar yet, so they told everyone that their pilots ate lots of carrots and could spot the enemy planes much more effectively.
Well, in defense of carrots, they are one of the best sources of vitamin A, which is in fact needed for eyesight. But yes, generally, eating carrots doesn't make your eyesight better, it just helps you keep it.
That you can shock a non-beating heart. Asystole. In TV, when someone's heart stops, they always shock it. You cannot do that in real life. You have to do CPR and push meds until the heart starts, and then shock it back into normal rhythm. Needless to say, this has real-life impacts for EMTs on scene or nurses during a code with family in the room when the bystanders think the provider is doing it wrong and interrupts.
He died. I couldn't save him. Yeah, because you just shot him over and over again instead of trying to get his heart going. If someone is coughing from choking on food, you should lift their arms in the air. My mill would do this to my kids all the time when they were babies. It actually closes the throat more. She also says if someone is sick in the house to put a cut onion out and it will absorb the germs and turn black, keeping them from spreading to others. I also hate hearing about people who cleanse or do anything to remove toxins from the body and the gluten-free fad. I understand some people, celiacs, truly cannot digest it. But I have a friend who has a son with a psychological disorder, and she says he's better when he hasn't had gluten.
The onion one is so specific that it raises more questions. Why did she believe that? Who told her that in the first place? Could it have been a ploy to increase onion sales?
You will lose your sanity if you like this video. Yeah, seriously, that's not true. You can test it yourself.
All I can say is that subscribing ensures happiness. And that's proven by me.